All right. Hello. Sorry about that. Tend to schedule things and be disorganized. You know how it is. So, um, how are you all? I'm not really going to look at comments today because hopefully the sound's better this time. I accidentally left. Yeah, just fucking whatever. Stop making excuses. It's all boring. Let me turn off the banner. Hang on a sec. Um, so I don't know why, but like when I stop streaming, I get so nervous. I haven't done it for like a while now, and yeah, I always feel like quite nervous, especially because of the fucking fuckwit last time. It's just like I don't want to give them any like more credit than is warranted. But Jesus Christ, you know when you don't stream for a while, and then you just get on here and you just exposed to nothing but negativity and insults and bullshit, especially when you've just been away and just focused on productive things. And then you just, you appear on, you go onto YouTube or Twitter and you just, it's this fire hose of horse shit. And you just go, oh, what's the point? What's the point? And maybe that's where I will that maybe that's where I'll start. Let me warm up for a little bit. I'm a little off my game because I haven't streamed for a while, as you can see. But like all the lights are off and all that stuff. Whatever. Who cares? Let me turn this down. It's always when it's like a weird day, weird cloudy day, that the light gets a bit weird. Anyway, not my priority at the moment. So, yeah. So, you're not going to get fanfare. This is a live stream. You know what? Actually, I was thinking about this. I've been watching, like, I watch people's live streams, and I don't know why people hold live streams to such, like my streams particularly, to such a high standard, because most people don't. Most people take a while to warm up. Most people keep people waiting. Like they do, like, they talk shit for a while and stuff like that. I find it funny how there's these like, I think we'll lead into Rapskally because a lot of it is just the culture of the internet that's pissing me off. And it's like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Okay. Which is this idea that somehow, and I mentioned this last time, somehow when you're, that we've just, at some point, certain behaviors have just been considered the price of admission. Abuse, bullshit, harassment, like even someone asked me a question, I think last week. I think it was Michael, and the philosopher, right? And he said, "Well, what about?" So I think I said something like, because that my opinions on these things are like complicated. It's almost like you're not allowed to have a complicated opinion. But I said something like, we need to set some sort of new norm for the internet, the same way that we have gradually in public, where it's become, appropriate and inappropriate, and certain things are appropriate in certain times and certain things are inappropriate at other times. When people are trying to do their job or get work done, that, there's a time for that. And I know that might sound, I'm not saying it to be like, oh, fuddy-duddy, no jokes at work kind of person, but this constant, I think this idea that somehow, in order for me to do my job, which is, this isn't my job, but it's, it's part of it. In order, it's increasingly will be more of it. But in order for me to do my job, that I'm somehow expected to just accept abuse. Now, that seems like a uniquely American thing. There's a number of different factors that need to be at play for abuse in the workplace to be acceptable. Right, which is, first of all, that there's no unions. Second of all, that the unions are doing their job. Third of all, at will employment. The idea that you can be fired for no reason. The idea that jobs, that abuse in the workplace is perfectly fine. The idea that you're paid enough to accept that shit. There's lots of different things. But when did that become acceptable? I know I'm waffling. I know I'm talking shit. I'll warm up. I haven't streamed in a while, so that's why. Just let me just get my thoughts out. I've got some planned thoughts, but I need to get the brown out first. Okay, I need to let the brown water run out of the tap for a bit. Shut up. It's my stream. Fuck off. But basically, like I've been thinking a lot about this because I've had to, when you build tech, you start thinking about what problems you're trying to solve. Like one of the things is one of the well, unless you're 23 years old and got lots of money and lots of connections, and then you can just come up with an app idea with no thought whatsoever. But in the real world of tech, if you want something to succeed as an ordinary person, you're held to a standard where you actually need to solve a fucking problem for people. Okay. And like, obviously for me, I don't really want to go into doing any more fucking startups because I don't feel it's like building tech is difficult. It is stressful. It's extremely expensive. And unless you're actually solving problems for people, there's not really a lot of point in doing it, to be honest with you, unless you're already rich and can build that stuff and it costs you no money and you've got money, all of that stuff. You've got all of the networks and all of the influence. It's easier, right? But if you're doing it the way that I'm doing it, which is self-funded, asking people nicely to sign up, you've got to solve a problem for people. And so when you go through the design process, especially, when you're me, you sit there and you go, okay, well, what problems am I solving? What problems, when you've got a blank slate with tech, there's an opportunity to get a sort of a do-over, right? And that's what I'm thinking. I know I'm waffling. Give me 5 minutes and we'll warm up. Go get a coffee. I'm fucking talking shit. Anyway, so I know I'm talking shit for a minute. It's like, seriously, you do lose your muscle. You lose your muscle, anyway. But I have been thinking a lot about this, like this idea that is the internet broken beyond repair? Is it fixable? Is the hypothesis, the idea that you could connect everyone in the world together in the one place, is that even like a realistic? Is that a realistic fucking idea? I don't think it is, to be honest with you. But what I think, I kind of went back to what I do know, which is that when you provide a tool that people use and it makes their day easier, they will use it. Okay. The reason why Facebook works is because, well, despite all of its problems, it's convenient. It's got everything you need in it. It's got your friends in it. You can just message people. You can think of someone. You can look them up. That's a frictionless experience. Also, people that, unless you're sort of in the IT space, you may not be aware of Facebook at work, which I think is funny. The idea that Facebook have an enterprise grade product, which basically uses Facebook, the Facebook interface. Oh, fucking hell, man, I need more coffee. Facebook sort of functionality interface, but for collaboration. It's called Facebook. It's Workplace. People don't know about that. And I'm just like, so you have two separate accounts. You have a work account and a private account. And it basically works like Facebook, but for the workplace, for collaboration. And it's an interesting idea, but I think that the Facebook brand has a stink on it when it comes to privacy. And like, I don't know why anybody would want to collaborate on Facebook. And that's one of the problems that I think we need to solve, is that in the last sort of, half hour, in the last couple of years particularly, I think we've seen that dependence on one platform, like let's say, okay, all right, let me think. I might need to start over, but I'm just waffling for a bit. Let me go. Fast forward 10 minutes if you've got a problem with this and you're watching the replay. Otherwise, it's a live stream. I'm tired. I've been working around the clock. Okay, sorry. I'll do some scripted stuff. But this is more just a casual catch up, and also because I'm going to have to be starting to do more video next week and talking about this more seriously. And I realized that every time I don't stream for a few days, I fucking go back to my twisty, nervous self again. It's fucking bullshit. I hate this shit. I like just making code, but I got to do this. Anyway, so in the last few years, it's called software as a service. Okay, so in tech, it's called software as a service. Now, if you've signed up to something like a project management tool, Google, Gmail, that's software as a service. So basically, that's a subscription model where you pay a monthly fee to use the platform. And basically, rather than having sort of an on-site business tool or on-site software, which is custom and hosted by you and self-hosted, which is expensive. Okay. In the old days, you would have a server in the office, or you would have all of those things, and that would be maintained by you or by an IT person. And basically what they do is, with software as a service, what it does is it basically everyone shares sort of the one app, the one code base, simplistically speaking. Okay. And through economies of scale, you can provide function. So like through $5 a month of a million $5 a month subscriptions is $5 million a month. Okay. That's income, and that funds, and everyone pools, and everyone, has benefits from the features. That's generally how that model has worked. Now, the problem with that is that those software as a service tools, such as, say, Shopify. So if you set up an online store, Shopify is one, Squarespace is one, Wix is one, WordPress.com is. WordPress as software is not, okay, but WordPress.com is a SaaS solution, software as a service, okay. Now, you've got more complicated things like platform as a service and those other things, but let's just keep it simple for people who aren't in IT and don't give a fuck about Taya's boring details, because this is like only tangentially. How do you say that word? Tangentially. I can read it. Related to my point anyway. But the bait and switch occurred when they started sharing all our fucking data. It's like, well, I gave you money, Google. I gave you money, Facebook. Okay, well, that's different because it's for ads, but I gave you money and then you sold my shit. It's like Foxtel in Australia, cable TV. I don't understand why you pay $100 a month for TV with ads. Wasn't that the idea when it first launched, to not have ads? Isn't that the transaction that occurs, which is that if you pay for a service, that you don't have ads? It's the same thing with this subscription model. Anyway, I'm just sort of waffling, but these are things that I've been talking about. There's a number of different problems here. One of them is fucking the model, which is that it doesn't matter what it is, whether you pay for it or not, you seem to get ads. It doesn't matter whether you pay for it or not, they seem to sell your data. Okay, and that's the other one, right? Use the data. It doesn't care whether you pay them or not. They can arbitrarily just kick you off their platform for no good reason. Now, this is the thing where it's, there's a number of different problems, but then there's also the psychological and the my research. So it all really has just culminated in, okay, go away. I've been running a digital agency for fucking years. I've been consulting in UX for tech for years. I've been consulting in various other things for years, political scientist, trainee psychologist, all of these things. Okay, 5 years on the culture wars. What the fuck can I do to fix this? Where it is. And so I'm at solutions point. And I'm still, obviously you can tell, because I'm not really able to articulate myself very well. Once I get the actual pitch correct, then, that's coming next week, which is that I've got to do all of the brand work and the value work and all of that stuff, and also get more comfortable in front of the camera. You'll see that I relax a bit more now. But basically the problem that I see is, first of all, okay, media literacy. People don't understand. So what I think is one of the fatal mistakes, if you remember the old MySpace days, right? You could make it your own. People forget about these things. There's all these bits of history with GeoCities, the legacy, which is, and LiveJournal and GeoCities and Angel Fire and MySpace, the sort of internet of old, okay? You were able to make it your own pretty easily, okay? You could customize it. You could customize the experience. You could add flair and personality to it. And what Facebook, Twitter, so what I think, how this has impacted our brains. This is my working hypothesis, okay, which is that, especially in something like Twitter, basically it's easy for Twitter because they can just create databases. They can just create, okay, this person with this bio use this thing and this emoji. Okay, all of these taxonomies, and it's basically just one big database in the sky. That makes it nice and easy for the big data in the sky to have a number of fields, a number of tables. That person said those words, therefore that person. And then they just make a massive database that creates, relations and correlations and meaning out of all of that data. But what it does in the front end is the user is sitting there passively consuming content that is equal. So it could be from me. Okay, I could be in a joking mood one day and a serious mood another. As you know, I flick between the two. I could be I could be making a very serious point that is backed in science and research, or I could be joking. I could be a 12-year-old. I could be a 65-year-old person with a PhD. I could be a woman. I could be a man. Like, that was one of the things I think that happened with the internet, which was that idea. It's actually quite a weird natural conclusion when you think about it, because the internet initially, this is something that I've been wanting to write about with the book it's in draft, and I'll get it done at some point. But one of the things that I wrote about was about this idea that when I was on the internet in the 90s, I ceased to be who I was. I ceased to be a girl. I ceased to be young. I ceased to be, all those markers were gone. And what I find very fascinating is how in the space of, say, 10 years, everyone's wanting those back. And that's really where the internet has gone upside down a little bit, because I think there's there's different types of personalities that are drawn to the internet for different reasons. Can't generalize about the internet. Like with Twitter, what's the use case? What's the psychological profile of somebody who uses Twitter in this way and uses Twitter in that way and, behaves in that way? There's a whole lot to unpack there. But really, there's a couple of things here, which is where I think the misunderstandings are, which is a false equivalence between an expert and an idiot. Same font, same text, same look and feel. They can say whatever they fucking want. They both have equal placement. Okay. Now, yes, you've got the show all replies and you've got all those things based on signals. But what if the user was able to say, okay, well, what if the user was able to decide? This is why I think Reddit has done a little bit better, because Reddit has flair and Reddit has, various other ways of, personalizing it. It's kind of, they've done a little better in that regard. But so there's one thing there, which is that false equivalence. People don't know. I honestly believe people legitimately don't know when someone is joking or someone is serious or someone is a person who, you get what I'm saying? I don't think that there's a really good way to be heard when nobody really knows who you are. Yes, you've got your bio, but again, you've only got 160 characters or something in your Twitter bio. You can't, like mine, I have to change mine a lot, because it's like, well, okay, how do I explain it? Yes, you've got your website, okay, but most people don't invest in a website. Yes, you've got, people can sort of spend the time to get a full picture of who you are, and they could go on Instagram, and if they follow you, they get a good sense of you visually. Like I have different ways that I use each platform. I use LinkedIn to take the piss, okay? I use Facebook just as a sort of longer form broadcast ideas thing that's not fully formed. It's not an article, but it's like longer form. I use Twitter for fucking whatever, just being a shithead. Instagram I don't really use very much, but if, because I'm not really in that profile. I'm not an aesthetic person. So, and I don't really share memes and stuff, and I don't have time for more than one platform. Twitter's my main platform, and LinkedIn is where I fucking, I love to hate LinkedIn. So, but again, I've been looking at the internet for many, 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 many years, and I've watched it grow. So that's one area, which is that area for personalization. But also, it's not even about personalization and expressing yourself. I think at some point, some people thought that it became about expression. But I actually think that it's about clarity and consent in terms of and I mean consent quite broadly. or some kind of understanding about where to file the information that you're consuming. So if I look at it from a user experience point of view, which is what when somebody consumes a piece of content, what bucket are they going to file it in? These processes work extremely quickly. And, I think that people misfire. I misfire. When I'm having a bad day, I'll file something as, fuckwit, when they were probably just having a joke or whatever. There's been things where I've just read lots and lots of, the fucking fire hose of pain, and then someone makes a joke and I go, oh, that's a bit, And I think that maybe, so trying to design things in a way that make that a bit clearer is probably part of it. Also, media literacy in terms of, I think that readers, and I think we put too much faith in people to automatically know where we're coming from, and in order to join us. Okay. I work in comms. I've been in this. Communications is really, user experience communications, all that sort of stuff. You got to be able to hook people early. The processes move fast. People make very fast decisions, especially on the internet. It's like in fractions of a second, 3 seconds if you're generous. Okay. Also, just our brains we can't work with more than sort of 4 to 5 categories at any given moment. That's just how our brains work. Okay. I think that maybe, and this is where, the experimental publications come in, which is where I think there's been a misunderstanding around what standard a certain piece is. Sorry, I'm just thinking. I'll move on. Actually, I won't talk about that yet. I'll talk about that later because I don't want to move on. So, media literacy is a big one. False equivalency in the experience. So, and also people not being paid for their effort. People they're just sort of just mindlessly doing stuff for attention. Attention, money, whatever. People use social media for different reasons, right? I use it to sort of keep myself relevant and, whatever that means. Keep my brain busy while I'm doing a lot of things. Just share thoughts, connect with people, make friends, lose friends in my case. So again, I don't even know. I have so wandered so far off with this thing. I don't know. Whatever. Whatever. So let me think. So you've got that. I'll show you the stuff in a minute. Then you've got this problem of people, you just piss off the wrong bully. You piss off the wrong bully, and it's not the problem in tech that we've got at the moment is that, first of all, I don't want to use the word gatekeeper because I know we've all got a bit of PTSD around the misuse, but the old use of the word gatekeeper, which is that the way that this has been set up it's either, isn't it? It's interesting, actually, because when you think about the music industry or the movie industry or anything, there seems to always end up, everything fun always ends in a big 5. Record labels, movie studios, TV stations, media, tech companies, okay? There's that natural, that's the thing about capitalism, is that just that natural concentration of power and wealth that happens where eventually you end up with some form of a big 4 or a big 5. Banks, hedge funds, crypto, whatever it is, it ends up just being a race to the fucking, to not quite a monopoly, because a monopoly is not capitalism, but you end up with an oligopoly, okay, or an oligarchy, or whatever you call it. So we're in the same position now. So if you have a website and you're putting it on, say, one of these like SaaS tools like Wix or WordPress.com or Shopify, or even like if you spend money with a web designer or a web host, a lot of people don't think about all of the steps and all the gatekeepers in between. So when a cancellation happens, right? Even if I'm cool with you, okay, if I back you and it's all cool, what if you tick off the wrong psycho? They'll get you at every step. They'll keep escalating it until they find an angle, right? So if they can't find a security problem in your website and hack it, or you do a brute force attack or something like that on it, then they will, you've seen this happen. They'll complain to your provider. Shopify, for example, shut down a gender critical account. Okay. Again, whether I endorse it or not is irrelevant. It's just more about, this is the process. Okay. So, and then they just go, okay, well, just shut them down because they complained to Shopify. If Shopify turn around and go, well, okay, no, that's cool. What they'll do is they'll go after the host. If they can't go after the host, they'll go after the payment provider, PayPal. If they can't get PayPal, they'll go after the government. Now, what you want to do in a situation like that, that's called, it's called a stack. I'm also stammering because there's a lot of things I want to talk about, and there's a lot of different things. You can always tell when I'm in thinking mode because I fucking sound incoherent and bumbling mess. Anyway, but basically you want to make sure that every point of that, if you want to be uncancelable, so to speak, okay, you're reliant on, at every point, you're reliant on someone not backing down to these people, to these bullies. Okay. That's the problem. It's not so much that everyone is conspiring or that there's a big problem, but it's just that most people don't really consider where these things come from. They don't consider that maybe Facebook's moderation team are from the third world and or developing world, have a manual and have to interpret it according to this very rigid guidelines. Otherwise, it gets escalated up the chain. The thing is that it just keeps escalating. Now, what you want to do when you're thinking about web technology is make sure that if there is a problem, that it's going to escalate as far up the chain as possible, because then you don't. So in the case of, say, let's say, first of all, you want to make it so that it goes as far up the chain as possible, i.e., in order to shut you down, you need a court order. Second of all, you want to make sure that your jurisdictions are correct, because most people just host on Squarespace and Wix and WordPress.com and all these places, not realizing that they're actually hosted on Amazon servers. Okay. And Amazon have too much power. The vast majority of Amazon's money comes from hosting and data centers and data, not the shit you buy. That's just a bonus. That's just how they profit from the bonus. Profit from the data. Okay. That it's serious shit. Okay. The biggest, Apple and Google, don't forget, Amazon and Google are also provide web hosting. Okay. So, and most like Twitter, most people don't own their own data centers because data centers are expensive. So what do? Okay. If let's say you're a little old business lady like me. Okay. And you want to start some free speech tech. What do? What's the law? Okay, you go through and you look for the terms of service of your web host. Okay, most of them can just ban you without any notice. If you read them, most of them can just ban you. Thing is, I can do that to you too. I want that right. I think most businesses reserve that right to make a discretionary call on these things. Problem is, it depends on who that is. Okay, and what their beliefs are. So first of all, the web host has a lot of power. Payment processor has a lot of power. Your web designer has a lot of power. Okay. Also, the person, because most of the people, like even me with hosting, I resell hosting. I don't have my own data center. So I have a wholesale hosting account and a reseller hosting in various places, and I resell that with a markup to people. And I register domains on behalf of, I'm not a domain registrar myself. I wholesale. But what I do is I look at the T's and C's and all those things, and I go, well, okay, how do we make it so that, in this situation where the wrong psychopath has way too much time on their hands and you say something they don't like, how do you plug all of those holes? Okay. How do you keep that leaky bucket from emptying, right? And it really is. IT is like a leaky bucket. You just got to keep, trying your best. And that's why when people ask for people, especially startups or small businesses, to talk about their security policy and all this GDPR compliance and all that stuff, the burden that it puts on people is very high, and the big guys still just evade it anyway. So that's why I have certain views on that. But anyway. But what do? You try to host in somewhere like Iceland where the laws are better, where basically you need to make sure that your web host won't shut you down without, an actual court order. And that's my policy as well. And I tend to use providers who are roughly the same. Again, it's common sense. No actual fucking Nazis or anything like that. So what do? Do you go with a mainstream host that may cancel you in certain circumstances? Or see, the other option is to get something like bulletproof hosting or blockchain hosting. But the problem with that is that it's, first of all, it's often run by shady people. It's often, it's like there's a joke about the dark web, which is that the only people hanging out on the dark web are the feds pretending to be fucking, because everyone else is just doing their thing on, just having redundancies in place on the real web. But it's the same thing with hosting, which is that, you could go to bulletproof hosting, you could go to anonymous hosting, you could pay in, Bitcoin, which is not anonymous, but at the same time, but again, there's a different level of risk there. So there's all these problems that people just don't think about with tech. So let's just say, for example, Twitter decided that gender critical accounts were perfectly fine, and that they decided that they backed gender critical accounts. Cool. That's cool. All right. This is just a hypothetical. All right. Let's just say that Twitter switched sides and decided to become, the opposite of what it is. Well, Amazon hosts them. Okay. That's the thing. What if Amazon disagrees? Amazon can shut down Twitter. You saw that happen with Parler, right? Amazon just can shut that stuff down. Again, these are simplistic examples. I'm just saying. I'm sure a company like Twitter would not be shut down. I'm just saying that this is the problem when you have limited power, like you have concentrated power, right? And that's the thing. So these are the things I've been trying to think about. So basically, I've been sitting down behind the scenes trying to solve some of these problems that no one cares about. But what you'll see is the symptom of things, which is that, someone's Shopify account will get shut down. Well, I'd argue if you have anything remotely controversial, you shouldn't be hosting on Shopify, because they're going to shut you down, because it's a failure point, which means that all they need to do is complain and escalate up the chain, and eventually it'll be over. Okay. Again, you just got to know that landscape. So but again, the problem is that also people won't pay for self-hosted stuff, because a lot of this stuff is expensive. If you go bespoke, it costs a lot of money. Right, so this is where my mind's at. But also, I think I've waffled for so long, I know. But basically, so you've got media literacy, so it's not just about building a competing social network. Anyone can do that, right? It's basically fucking Buddy Boss on top of WordPress. It's nothing like fab with some customization. It's nothing like crazy, right? But what you need is to have a stack that you can feel confident in. And it's actually more about the thinking behind it. Also, how do artists earn money? So if you create some sort of publication, the traditional model has been like harvest all of the data, run all of the ads, sell the data to the people who put the ads on your platform, and write all sorts of horseshit clickbait in order to get there. Now, there's got to be a better way to do this. So you've got Patreon, and you've got, Substack, Subscribestar too, but Substack, right? Places like that. But again, generic. Okay. Can you post a GIF on Patreon? No. Can you have fun with it? No. Substack, bit boring. Like, again, is that, you can't, there's no personality anymore. And that's the thing, is like, so I'm trying to solve some of those problems where people can express themselves. We can make it clear from the outset what standard they're held to. So in terms of content, the tech is basically collaboration tech. Okay. It's social media layer, groups. You can set up a crowdfunder, you can set up a store, you can set up a blog, you can blog on Rapskally and have your own, just your own profile there, or you can set up your own website separately. Obviously that would be a paid service, because I got to make money somehow, for fuck's sake. Okay. And I am going to have a crowdfunder for the platform. I think we should have a crowdfunder to make Taya get to the point. No, no. Sorry. I'm tired, and I knew that this would go badly. I knew that I'd rattle, so whatever. This is nothing official. And because the platform hasn't officially launched or anything yet either. So but yeah, I am sending invites. So but basically, there's a couple of different problems. How the fuck do you tackle something as big as the culture wars with no money? And I'm up against billionaires. That's the reality. I'm up against fucking rich people. I got no chance, but I'm going to try anyway. And so all I'm going to do is pour my knowledge into a product. I think I can sit around critiquing them all I like. I can sit around, but we could just make something. And so, I wanted my research to count for something. And also, as I do more research, I needed something that I had control over, that I could test features. So I could have a hypothesis and I could I could test, and I could see stuff and put it back and write white papers and fund research into some of these issues. Like, how can we create new models? How can we create new communities? How can we do it better? How can we get back to how can we detoxify communities? I think, so anyway, to my point. I fucking talk shit. I'm talking waffle. But basically, I've got a few ideas, which is, again, media literacy, how people can earn money, like, for what they contribute and get back. Different ways for win-win relationships. So between sponsors and branded content, but making it explicitly clear when content is branded. None of this stealthy fucking bullshit that we're seeing at the moment. So back to ethics. But also when you're writing a magazine or writing a publication or news, making it very clear what standard it's held to. So, are we writing scientific papers? Is it held to a scientific standard? Is it held to a philosophical standard? Is it held to a humanities standard? Is it held to a journalistic standard? Is it held to an op-ed standard? Is it just an opinion? Is it comedy? Do we need to make it clear that this is a joke, that this is satire? And I think that there is something about making that very clear up front with the user and the reader, and also having that all in one place around one issue. So that's Brave Every Day. That's the magazine that I want to create, and that's the thing that I would like people to contribute to. So basically, I'm thinking that every month there's a theme, and people write in their discipline and they have to write to the fucking standard of their discipline on this thing. And we put it all in one place where someone can sit and explore one issue deeply. But what we can do is also educate them along the way about what those different standards are. So let's say you're writing an argument, like a scientific, or let's say you're doing a meta-analysis of design patterns and blah, blah, blah. Okay. It would be clear that that's held to the standard of a meta-analysis, and that's held to a certain standard. If you're say psychology standard is different to the hard sciences standard. Humanities standard is different to philosophical standard. Like, which discipline is it held to? What standard? What framework is it working within? And that's where there'll be some educational content about what that framework is, what it means, and what standard it needs to be held to. But I know it sounds really dull. This is more about what's going to be in the background. Obviously, in the front end, it's just a magazine with a theme, with lots of different people coming together, talking about stuff and talking about ideas. Hopefully, lots of different opinions. I don't want this to just be a fucking culture wars wank piece. I'm saying that it's just a new concept, but also trying to experiment with new models along the way. And new funding models. So people can sponsor, maybe the discussions themselves are sponsored by a sponsor or something like that. Something that doesn't touch the content. Okay, that's the thing. Or doesn't touch the integrity of the content. And that's always been the problem with the internet, is that the second fucking money gets involved, the second ads get involved, it all goes to shit. And that's the problem. So that's the problem that I'm trying to solve. Now, Rapskally, the tech platform, is just a bit of social stupidity. You can also run courses on there at some point. In the next couple of weeks, these features will roll out. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly share. I know that this has been a fucking dumpster fire. I got to get back into getting used to. So look, I got a news feed. So it's like Facebook. So look, got all the cool shit. It's got see again, it's all work in progress. You got I put all the reacts that we all wish we had on Facebook. So we got vomit react, taco reacts. You can put whatever there, laugh, whatever there, comment, edit, usual shit. It's got the styles, so you can put your styles in. I can put background images. Okay, so you can just you can write here. I'm going to put some background images and shit in there, but I still got to style the things, but I'm going to put some images and whatnot in there. I've been playing with the functionality. It's not quite there yet, but you can come in and have a play. Like I said, there's groups. Okay, so you can just group. Okay, there's no activity here, but this is a group, but you can GIFs, emojis, photos, fucking usual shit. You can actually have documents as well, but I haven't put that on this group. But you can actually have documents collaboration. Okay. At the moment, it's invoice. You can send messages to each other. You got albums. Okay. It's all pretty bog standard stuff. It's a bit slow at the moment. I got to move on to a VPS, but yes. Okay. So there's no members. But anyway, so look, if I sign up, you go to my profile. So you can write articles. Okay. It doesn't have my articles because I fucking turned the plugin off to test it. Of course I did. But what you can do is you can actually submit an article. So you can just write it's not there. Oh well, but you can basically go in, write an article. There's a whole workflow there. So if you basically the idea is that you go in and you write a blog post. You can decide whether it sits on your profile or you can have it so that you're submitting it for Brave every day, or that it's a book chapter, or it's a piece of content. You can also invite people to collaborate on it. You can build a group around it. So let's say we're doing a big piece, like a big investigative piece, or some sort of large thing, like a book, like the 2021 book that I want to put out. But you've got forums and photos, all that sort of shit. Right? You can have but it's basically, look, I've got control over it. I'm verified on my own social network. It's pretty funny. But, again, the experience is not Flash, okay, yet. Hey, it should be in Flash. We should make a Flash one. And it's not an app yet. Apps cost, again, I need $100,000 for that shit, right? But, you can put your links. You've got your professional bio. You can put your shit there, right? And it appears on your profile. You got profile photo, cover photo. You can update your profile status, all of those sorts of things. Okay. You can browse. At the moment, everything's here, but this experience, you can see how it's nearly there, but it's not quite there. Okay. So you can go and have a play. I'd really like it if people had a play with this because, you've got, again, it's not like when I say it's ready for signups, but it's not at QA. It's not for testing. I don't need feedback just yet. I'm still working on things in the background. But you've got your followers. You've got, you can link to your social profiles across here. I'm customized. See some of this. This is a profile status. So you can put a statement or something there that's separate from your bio. Trying to figure out how to put your fucking bio in there. I'll figure it out. I've had to learn a whole new bunch of like templating languages and stuff for this. So it's a bit of a learning curve, but I've done this in 3 weeks. Come on. Calm the fuck down. That's why I'm rambling, because I haven't been streaming and I pulled this together in 3 weeks. I think I'm doing all right. But you can invite friends. Okay. Forums. I don't think this is linked to any forums at the moment, but I haven't created any. Nah. But you go through so you can browse members. So you got, I'm verified on here, of course. MySpace Tom is your picture, of course. And then you got a news feed. Okay. Standard shit. Okay. And I will add more and more features as time goes on. Okay. And I'd really like people to go and have a play. And I will give invite links. If you're a patron, I'll give you an invite link directly on there for patrons only. Otherwise, you can message me and I'll send you one via whatever platform you reach out to me on, despite this being an absolute fucking disaster of a video. I just forget how much I lose my. It's not my natural inclination to do this stuff. So I have to be in the right headspace. And when I'm in tech space, headspace is not, So anyway, but you could go in, you sign up, you got notifications, standard stuff. Some of these things still read like a fucking Indian wrote it because that's the plugins. All right, I'll fix that. But you can, go in, you can hide the notifications. Okay, you got an inbox there. The server's really slow. But yeah, you can send messages to people, group collab. Now you can't, yeah. So I'm as time goes on, I'm going to be adding more and more features. Okay, let me show you. This is what I'm finishing today, but there's still a lot to do. But let me have it. Let's go here. You'll see that it is just a WordPress thing, right? Let's go through here. Nope. So we've got crowdfunders here. Where are we? Where is the fucking thing? Donations. Here we go. So I'm still integrating this stuff, but it'll be ready soon. But I've got to style this yet. But you've got crowdfunders, so you've got the standard crowdfunder stuff. We will put that will be with PayPal, and you will be able to just have it go direct to you. And I don't know what the appropriate amount of fees is yet. I need to work that out. I need to do some research on that, but I would hope that people would pay a little more just for the freedom, because the thing is that cheap has a cost to it. Okay, which is that, first of all, you risk having it taken down. First of all, second of all, it's not custom developed, so you can't. You could contact me and say, I want X, Y, Z, and can you design my page specifically to look beautiful and have this in it? And I'll do that. And I'll say, yeah, sure thing. That's something that people need to be willing to pay for. But yeah, so you can just go through, you can make an anonymous donation, you can have, whatever. I'm thinking that's the first feature, because that's the thing that a lot of people have been asking for. You also have the ability to set up a store with merch, because I have a Printful account. I figured what I would do is make it easy for people to just design merch. We create the merch for them, and they have a store, just a little store that's there. Now, the only thing is, and that's something that you can just export and take wherever you want to go, but it's a good little starter store. Okay. The other thing that you can do is, because this is a network, you can create all of these. I'm moving my website over to it at the moment, but you can create your own website. At the moment, this needs to be manually provisioned, of course, because I don't want people destroying it, and it's not on a VPS yet, because again, those things are expensive. But once I get, but a lot of this is putting all of the stuff into the one platform. The reason why Rapskally has so many features in it is because I'm developing a platform that has all of the features that you could possibly want in your community. And what you could do is, if you're an organization, or if you are, someone who wants to create this, it's kind of basically like a system in a box for everything that you could possibly want in a community, and you want to build your own social network, then you can do that. You can just hang out on this one. Right? I'm not creating a new Facebook. I'm not trying to compete. There's no way I can do that. But what I'm doing is showing people how they can create their own technology with basically like just something where I can create an installer and just configure it and skin it and make it look beautiful with your brand fonts and all of that sort of stuff, and set it up for you. And you can have your own community. Okay. It's nice and easy. So, it's not easy to do. It's a lot of work, but and also, I also forgot to mention that everything that you do, so like every time I post, right? Hang on. Now, I'm not sure if this will be for launch. Oop. Yeah, so you've got a blog here, which has, the usual shit. The skin's not great yet, but we'll make do. You can rate the articles. So every time you interact with things, right? So if every time you log in, every time you comment, Every time you get upvoted or downvoted, or, people interact or friend people or get blocked or get unfriended, or basically there's a whole point system in the back end, which basically gives you rewards and positive rewards and positive punishments and those sorts of things to incentivize better behavior, to incentivize the good behaviors and disincentivize the bad ones, with there actually being a payout at the end of it. So at the moment, obviously, I'm not in a position to do those payouts. All I can do is give you the points with a promise of payouts later. But this is, like I said, this is MVP. This is proof of concept stuff. It's not, it's not even close to finish. But if you want to sign up and have a play, there is a real use case for it at the moment, which is to launch Brave Every Day. And now Brave Every Day is a magazine, like I said, that will be focused around, ideally it would be Brave Every Day, where every day we focus on we deep dive in one issue across disciplines. Everyone writes something, but we're not even close to there yet. I can't do that just yet. So let's just make it month to month with a theme, and eventually we'll move towards that sort of daily Brave Every Day, where you get a fact sheet on the various sides of things. This is what this discipline says. This is what this side of this discipline says. This is the standard that it's held to, and it become a series of education. It becomes educational for the reader. It's like a guided reading of that stuff. Now, I'd like to put peer review. It's kind of like taking the best of everything, like taking the concepts of peer review and putting that back into journalism. In a meaningful and positive way, attached to positive and negative reinforcement, and seeing if we can create a better community. And it's bold, it's ambitious, it's crazy, and I know that a lot of people don't really understand what I'm talking about, because obviously this is my area. But this is where I'm heading. So let's go to, at least for a second, let's have a look at the homepage. So the branding. The concept of the branding was, create in full color is the concept. As you'll see, not because, obviously we're in a world where a bunch of people seem to think that it's only a handful. They keep agreeing on what the colors of things, the limited rate palette that we've got to work with. And I think we need to just open up that palette. That's the metaphor that we're working with. Okay. So it's an independent media and technology company that aims to break the trauma bond between users, technology, and media, get people creating again rather than simply producing. Okay. Blink twice if you're curious or creative. These are placeholder images. Actual photo of my actual house if you're going to stalk me. But yeah, Rapskally is a sanctuary for independent thinkers by independent thinkers, backed by nothing but smarts, grit, integrity, and a little bit of hope that the big guys mean it when they say that the market can decide. Okay. So I aim to empower creatives or creators to take charge of their lives, brands, and careers. And that's what I was talking about with the technical stuff, with the stack, which is that you don't have control. Okay. Really, and I know that in fairness, you've got to trust me. At the end of the day, you've got to trust me, and we've been hurt before, so I get that too. Okay. So what I want to do is make it so that at any point you have ownership of your stuff. We fight, first of all, I'm going to vet who I work with at the beginning. Okay. So you can't just sign everyone up and onboard them and promise them one thing and then change. Okay. That's what I'm hoping to not do. Now, obviously, because this is a new product, things are going to change. But I'm also not promising things. Okay. I'm telling you what my goals are, and we will get there. But if at any point there comes a point where we need to part ways, then I will make it so that, you are set up in a way that doesn't harm you. You're not just like, fuck off, you're banned. I mean, no. Yes, if you're banned for being a fuckwit, different thing. But if it just, you get what I'm saying. There's lots and lots of complexity to this, but I have good intentions. Okay. And I just think that we just should get the internet that we were sold, right? Musicians were sold the idea that they could make things and make art and own their stuff and take control. And then Apple decided to take fucking 30% of their shit. Suddenly, Amazon are taking 70% of authors' proceeds. Suddenly, the tech companies are actually taking the larger cut. Okay, and they're not only taking the larger cut, they're selling our data and using it as a weapon against us. Okay. And that's not right. It's not house. That's not what we were promised. It's one or the other, right? I'll take 50% cut, but I won't take your data. Okay. I won't take your data if I charge you. If it's free, see, this is where that transparency needs to be. Okay. Which is where if you're doing it for free, if you're getting something for free, okay, then there's an expectation that you're the product. That said, the definition of giving you something has to change as well, because I would argue that we are not giving Facebook aren't allowing us to use their platform. Okay. They're getting us to do data entry for them. It's not a gift. It's not generosity. Okay. They're paying us to enter all of our secrets. Okay. They shouldn't have done that. And that's the thing. That's what we need to, again, it's just we were promised one thing and given another and then gaslit. Okay. So, but again, so just fair solutions to address complex problems. Now, there's going to be fuckwits that go free speech, and it's like, no, fuck off to Gab, fuck off to Parler. That's not what this is about. This is good faith. This is a good faith attempt to fix real problems. This isn't about if you get banned for hate speech, or you're a troll, or you're a fuckwit, okay, or you like harass people, then you shouldn't be part of things. Okay, it's like a bar owner being able to just get rid of people for disorderly conduct. Okay, I'll get rid of people for no shirt, no shoes. Okay. That sort of thing. Okay, that needs to be a thing. The problem is that Twitter and Facebook, they could have gotten away with that if they hadn't sold it as a public good. Okay, if they hadn't benefited from platform status and promised that they were free speech and that they were all of these things and that promised that would be open and democratic, they sold us a load of shit. If they had said all along that they're a private platform, then we would have been able to had informed consent about where we put our time and energy. And we would have probably set up self-hosted websites, and Facebook would not have killed the blogosphere the way that it did. Okay. And that's the thing that, that's where they broke the rules, and they didn't break the rules. They broke the promise. Okay. Now, obviously, so the vision for Rapskally is obviously that the company is a container for a number of different things. We've got Rapskally Digital, which, I mean, it's a no-brainer that we provide those services. So websites, digital hosting, development, design, consulting, all that sort of stuff. Don't do unethical shit. No Google Analytics unless, like I sign away. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I refuse. Okay. You can have analytics you can measure people, you can have stats without the evil shit. Okay. So trying to do different technologies. Okay. Obviously I understand blockchain, I understand minting, trying to work in, smart contracts and all that sort of stuff as time allows, as time and resources allow. Still quite immature, but as those new technologies, develop, or we get the opportunity to develop new technologies, then obviously, we will implement those as well. Obviously new media. Now, the reason why I'm not really a journalist. I'm not really into that sort of thing, but I realized that it's something that we need to do. I needed somewhere to test a lot of this stuff. Okay. So the new media is Brave Every Day. That's the magazine. It's a news public or magazine, news, whatever the fuck you call it. Okay. Where ideas come together and everyone gets paid their fair share. Okay. So starting with our first publication, look at the typography in this is shit. Still placeholder. Okay. Got to fix these things. But starting with our first publication, Brave Every Day, we'll be using the tech, okay, to build dynamic, smart, and collaborative communities of people who work towards the same goal. So if you're a photographer, so on the Raps, this is how I envision the Rapskally platform working. Say you're a photographer and you just provide stock for the community, for the magazine, you're the photographer, and everyone uses it. But every time someone uses it on their blog or their post or whatever, you get paid. Okay. At the moment, obviously, it's only like pretend money because it's not backed at the moment, but it will be. Okay. When I figure out the way to make those payouts happen, that will happen. That those points exist as an IOU at this point, but you'll be compensated every time it's used. Okay. Every time you upload, you'll be compensated. So you'll be just for contributing to the community, you'll be getting some points. Okay. If you write something, you get points. If you write, you get, and that actually can translate to cash or barter credits with other people. So once it's a marketplace, you can spend that on the community. So with other people, with other people's goods, other people's merch, or you can donate it with a crowdfunder. You can donate your points. So it's a whole ecosystem where of good faith and promises and people doing the right thing and creativity. And I know that it's not writing for exposure. It's not writing for imaginary. It is. I mean, at the moment, yes, it's points, but I'm working on ways to get those points backed, like with actual money, and working out what that translates to. But also, in order to do that, I need to comply with certain laws like money laundering and stuff. So at the moment, it's monopoly money, with a promise from me that it will turn into money, and that anyone who's like a founding sign up member will get a greater cut. And if you're contributing and you want to write on my platform and make my platform better, I have the discretion to just gift out those points. Okay. Think of that like, it's basically like, giving, I can give you stock. It's not like a stock, but it's not actually stock in the company, but it will eventually translate to real cash. So I just wanted to use these things to try and find new ways of working together in ways that keep everyone happy, and where transactions and relation and these things are out in the open. Yeah, it's understood what's going on, and if you actually are contributing, that you're actually rewarded fairly. And so let's say, okay, here's a use case. Let's say Brave Every Day, 5 people work on one great essay together for the magazine. That's published in the magazine, and that gets donations on the front end. So every issue will have a donation form that is attached to that specific issue, and everyone who contributed to that, according to they'll get basically according to the percentage of effort that they put in, because the platform records your effort and it records your share in the background. Basically, every month it will reconcile, and based on the income that's there, you can either spend that or gift it, or send it to someone else. You can send it to someone who needs it. You can use the crowdfunding platform. You can buy points for real cash so that you can give them to people and use that in crowdfunding. So it's a whole economy that and I have to use the point system at the moment and say it's not real money for now, because obviously, there's legal hurdles to get through with that, but we'll get there in the end. And I just want people to, despite how this thing fucking started, I really would like people to just come along for the ride and try things. And, we've got to try. You got to try something, like, because it's just not working. It's just not working the way that it has been. Artists and creators and people like that are being ripped off. They're working for free. They're not being paid at all, or they're being promised a fortune, but the big companies are making the most money. All right. How the fuck, merely because I provide hosting, that I need to take 70% of your work? I'm not profit. No, I'll take a fair share like everybody else. And that everybody wins. I don't need a lot of money. I just need operating expenses. But that's the thing, is that we need to have a different way of looking at money. We need to have a different way of looking at fairness, and we need to make sure that everyone is compensated fairly for their role in a fair way. And I think that there is something there for brands and for sponsors to come on board, but they need to collaborate and work with us fairly as well. So if we're doing reviews of products or anything like that, then that's open and out in the open, and 100% clear what that is. Okay. And we can do giveaways and various other things, but it's got to be above board. Okay. I think that a big problem here is with branded content that is not declared, and finance. If you want to actually, honestly, yes, the crowdfunding platform does have anonymous donations for individuals, but if it's a corporation, I think that if it's a corporation, it should be out in the open. I would be quite happy to be very open, like really open, about who I receive money from. And I again, some of these things are just out in the open. They might be off the charts naive. as to whether that's even possible. But, I sit there and there's people who will whinge and moan about how things are and not change anything and just sit around on Wix and or not Wix. I'm not picking out on anyone particular. I'm just saying they've all got the same thing. We're all sitting ducks, okay? And you can either take charge and just try something, or just let it wash over you. And I'm not really a washing it over me kind of person. I went through the last few years, trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. I haven't been well. I also kind of lost my way because I realized that my industry had just done a complete bait and switch. Imagine being a tobacco farmer. Actually, bad idea. I'm just a farmer. Okay. I thought that I was farming. I thought that I was making, hang on. Okay. I thought that I was just growing things and I made fertilizer. I didn't know that it was killing the fucking bees and, all of these things. I didn't know that the harm that it was doing, that I was suddenly working for big tobacco. And I think that when it becomes clear that you're working for something that is pretty sinister, that you can make a choice. And I know that this is fucking stupid. I know that I'm the worst possible spokesperson for new tech. I'll try to get better. Okay. A lot of it has just been because I haven't streamed in 2 weeks and I'm fucking got nervous again. And, I am a bit anxious about sharing new things because everyone's a critic. People will log on and, oh, look, she thinks she's going to do something, because those people always exist in this world. And those people are the people who I refuse to let win. I always have and I always will. Okay. So they can sit and make fun all they want. They can say, oh, well, you know what? Stay on there. Stay on Facebook, stay on Twitter, stay on all those things, keep getting not paid, keep writing spec pieces for publishers who, pay you $30 at best. And also, newspapers and news. I know people who freelance for big media industry who have to chase for payment, right? 90-day invoices and all of that sort of stuff. I've lived all of these things. Okay. And, I've lived as a designer. I've had clients who've taken whole fucking sites and not paid a cent, and then said, "Oh yeah, take me to court," knowing that I wouldn't take them to court because I'm a decent person and that they're in the jurisdiction. I know all of these things. Why don't we keep doing that? Why don't we keep letting the bad guys win? Keep letting the selfish win. Why don't we try something else, which is where the good guys who operate in good faith, who are smart and who are willing to put, that thing, like I said, put it to the test. Let the market decide. Okay. Are people good-hearted and collaborative and looking for models that are more, fair and decentralized and where people can take charge of their own lives and business? Or is it all a big fucking lie? And do people really just like being held captive while giving away 70% of their money? Well, more than that, 90% now, because rents have gone up, to fucking hedge funds. It's basically what's happening. Okay. So, I know it's impossible. I don't have much. All of this, I basically funded on not even my own credit card, my husband's credit card. Okay. I've put everything on hold in the last, I'm pretty impressed with what I can build in 3 weeks. Still not done. Still got to add more services. I haven't talked about the publishing part. I really would like to do more comedy publishing. I'd like to publish books and all that stuff. I've got all of that stuff set up. So we're ready to go. And you get, you're right. You get legit proper publishing, editing and all that stuff. But again, and also the dream is that with Rapskally, if you're on the platform and you're submitting your book, you've got an army of people that can help you as well. So if you're a freelancer, for example, and we can get you a book artist. We can get you someone who can do the typesetting. We can get you someone who can do the editing. We can get people. You can pitch a book to me. 5 of you get together, pitch a book to me, and see if we can get it, and we'll publish it. Pitch it. And that's the thing, is that there's also that thing where you can pitch these things to us as a group and work together, and everyone gets paid fairly. And we just, we take our cut. And because it's, with the publishing, we're just going to do print on demand. And if you want 50 books to give to your friends and family and stuff, whatever, you can have that. But, make it print on demand, get you on Amazon and all those things, and make it basically like a full service full service publisher, where you've got your website, you've got your blog, you've got your newsletters, you've got all those things, and you have access to all that data yourself. And we won't use it except for maybe to email people every so often about what's happening with Rapskally. But again, if you opt out of that, then you opt out of that too. So I'm just sort of fusing a few different things together here based on my experiences and trying to fix things multi-tiered way. And also there's also the research and education component, where if I ever end up, because I'm still obviously doing, ultimately it's about my research. And so I would like to fund other PhDs. I'd like to fund PhDs and, connect people to do work on a PhD together, or work on projects together and produce white papers about different ways of doing things. There's a lot of great stuff that we can have, as long as I have control over the platform, as long as I have autonomy, and as long as we can own this stuff, then we can make it what we want to make it. And that's my goal. So I know that it took me 40 minutes to get to the point. But I might just I need to get back to streaming every day or every other day, because I've obviously I've atrophied. So, but I'll do the best I can. I'm just going to see if there's been any comments. I doubt it, because I've been boring as fuck. But yeah, no. So I think that's it. If you're a patron, you'll get an invite code to patrons only link. If you want to sign up, that would be great. I'm deleting my Discord. Okay, so I'm not going to use it. Discord actually was the thing that made me get excited and think that I should develop my own platform, because I saw that they were doing that in real time. But I think people have chat fatigue. And so I'd rather slow it down. I'd rather people get rewarded and paid, and like put some of those things in Discord that come from Discord with, karma and points and, really sensible gamification, and turn that into real dollars, but turn that into something really tangible. So books, essays, magazines, media properties. If you actually, honestly, if you want to start a magazine, then by all means pitch it to me and I'll run it on the platform. Okay. If you've got an army of like feminists in particular, if you guys want to start a magazine of your own, then I'm more than happy to have that pitched and provide you with the platform in which to do that and the technology, because the more use cases that I can get, the more bugs I can iron, which means the more maybe I can get a little bit of seed money and a little bit of investment. And that's where, once I can show this as a finished product, the sooner that I can maybe monetize it somehow. I still haven't quite figured out how to do that part yet, but I've got some backing. I've just got to there's always, the problem is that whenever there's money, there's always, I'd rather actually just sell the tech and license it to other people and then have that money go back into the platform than it have direct investment in the platform. I think that I'd rather do it through sales, but that's harder. That's a lot harder. Okay. That's much, much harder to do. But, I've never chosen the easy path, because if I chose the easy path, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even be on the camera. So I wouldn't even have a YouTube channel if I chose the easy path. So I hope you stick with me. I probably might slice this video to the last 15, 20 minutes, but thanks for sticking around. And it was good to see you. And I suppose that I will probably try to stream again on Friday and get a do-over, but I'm just trying to get this done. But yes, message me privately and I will send you a link. It is invite only at this point for obvious fucking reasons. And but if you do really want an invite, I'm not going to say no. You just got to behave yourself. Okay. So the only criteria is that you are not a fuckwit. And that means not disrupting and actually just not putting too many demands on someone who's trying to build a minimum viable product and who is trying really hard and is doing it on their own. I have branded, designed, developed, conceptualized, and I'm still building, and I've written the copy. I have done literally all of this on my own. Okay. All of it in 3 weeks. So imagine what I could do with a team, is what I'm saying. So, but we'll get there. We'll get there. It just takes a lot of time. Development takes time. And so I am going to go. I love you. Thank you for your precious 5 seconds. I will be back. I'm going to try and be back properly next week. I've got a endoscopy on Tuesday, and I've got a lot of and uni's back and a lot of stuff. But I'm going to try and stream at least every few days because I need to keep this. I can't shit the bed for half an hour every time I stream. So, but I'll get better. And I love you. Thank you. And I'll be in touch. And I'm sorry that I fell apart at the beginning, but fucking streaming, man. Anyway, I love you. Bye. Oh, yeah. Also, if you want to donate to this, there'll be a crowdfunder for it. Okay. Or you can donate on my current website if you really, really want to help me. But it has to be a no strings attached donation at this point, and or a loan. If you're offering me a loan, that would be great too. But otherwise, you understand why I can't have conditional funding. I love you. Do sign up. Bye.